We often talk about being our true self and being authentic to ourselves, and that is a good thing, right? But when you don't know who you are, how do we even start with this one? Well, joining me in the studio to talk about being your own true authentic self is a lovely lady, the wonderful Tanya Unkovich. Thanks for joining me today.
Hello, how are you today?
Doing well. So let's talk about this. And I love the quote that you had at the very beginning, and I couldn't pick where it was from, but you told me. And maybe if you could just read it out and everyone can have a guess for themselves.
Absolutely, from Hamlet, and it goes, "This, above all, to thine own self be true, and it must follow, as the night, the day. Thou can not be the false to any man."
I mean, that's a pretty deep quote to mull over, right? Shakespeare knew a bit of stuff, really, when it came to human nature.
He did, didn't he? And you know, the thing that we so look for in life is to answer that big question, who am I?
Who am I? Yeah, and I think that's a search that will probably be ongoing. As you know, it's not something that you sort of arrive at the age of 20 or 25, but are still asking that question as the years go by. So there's been a lot of pressure, I think, particularly over the years around what the perfect person might look like or what we should be. Social media does put on a fair bit of pressure, right?
Oh, more than, once upon a time we just had magazines, right, that we'd look at and go, oh, I wish I looked like that person. But now we see it every single day, every hour. It is put in our face, whether we're scrolling or whether it's an ad.
Yeah.
Right? We get these images of how we should look, who we should be, what we should look like, etc., etc. Whether we're successful or not, we're getting these messages all of the time. And if you don't keep it in check, you can actually, it can be quite detrimental to your emotional health, your physical health, if you keep looking at this, looking outside of yourself to answer that question, who am I?
And it can affect us in lots of different ways. I mean, you mentioned the emotional way, but emotionally, it can affect us in other ways too, like physically.
Yes, absolutely. Well, emotionally, you might see an image and think, well, this is how I should look, but you don't. And so you put that pressure on yourself and you start to feel that you are not good enough. And of course, physically, you might look at some images and go, oh my goodness, I need to lose some weight, or I need to go and have some more Botox, or whatever it is that you feel you need to do to change yourself, right? And even intellectually, you might look at some of these images and you think, oh, they're all successful, and who am I? What am I? What have I achieved in inverted commas? So there's so many ways that it can really affect your thinking and your personal foundation.
So let's talk about that personal foundation and being your own authentic self. If we've been getting these other messages, whether it be on social media or TV or whatever it is, that this is the way we should be, or even in our Bible studies, let's be honest, then how do we find who we actually are? Where do we even begin with this?
Well, one thing you can do is actually just get out a piece of paper and put in the middle of the paper, who am I? And then, like a sunflower, just great big lines coming out from that question, and start putting down all of the words that you know to be true about you. I'm kind, I'm compassionate, I'm loving, I'm a great mum. And be careful to not put down the things that you have achieved. Like, I've been a successful business person. Look at more ways to describe your character rather than things that you have achieved and done. I mean, I know that's a great list to have, but get closer.
Get closer, get into that character, the things that...
Who am I?
Yeah, that really kind of matter at the end of the day.
Yeah. That's a great exercise to do. And quite often when I get clients to do that, they just love it. The other thing you can do is ask someone else.
Yeah.
How would you describe me? Just in 3 words, And it's not a self-centered thing to do. It's a very healthy thing to do, because we quite often forget our own awesomeness, our own magnificence. So sometimes it's good to openly share with someone else.
Yeah, and I think too, just thinking on that one, great to share with someone if you notice a characteristic in them. For instance, I noticed the other day a friend of mine was just such a good listener, and I had to say, wow, you realise that's quite a gift,
Yeah.
Not everyone can sit and listen,
Yeah.
but they just had the innate ability to know how to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you probably really changed her day, so go back and reflect on all of the times someone has paid you a compliment.
Yeah.
often-
We often don't do it, but it's
No.
really important, right?
I know if someone pays up a compliment, instead of going, oh, no, that's not true, I just go, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to go write that down on my flower.
Yeah.
I appreciate
My
that so
big
much.
sunflower.
Yeah. Hey, so want to get a little personal here, Tanya. What about you? You're a lady who's achieved a lot of things, but for yourself, how do you know that you are at your most authentic? Is there something you can share on that?
Do you know, when you just asked me that question, the thing that came to mind was when I feel emotional, when I
Okay.
feel the presence of God, because then I know I am being me.
Yeah.
If I'm just sitting quietly in prayer and I go, yep, I know you're with me. It's about surrendering, and, when I'm in this place of just me and God and just me taking down any walls, I don't need to be anything else or try and be anyone else. I know I'm loved. I know I am lovable. And I know that He is with me. And I had a great experience in the last few months of doing this. When I was just writing this book, I was sharing with you that when I got into that place of really deeply knowing who I am, then the words just absolutely flowed. So
Yeah. That's pretty amazing, isn't it? Because you could authentically write. It actually was easier for you.
to write, by just taking down all of the stuff on the outside that we think we need to show the world in order to feel okay. Just put it all aside. This is who I am. And whatever comes out on the typewriter or on the keyboard is who I am. And there's quite a freedom to just say, hey, world, this is me. You're not all going to like me, but this is me.
I was just reflecting on that as well, and something that lockdown taught me was that, kind of put this label on myself, an introverted, bookish kind of person, like my own space. But lockdown taught me that actually I do really need people, and I just was so grateful to come into work and to be surrounded by others. It made me realise that, hey, there is a side of me. God made us to be social creatures, and I really do seek out the company of others. And I think there was probably a few people that felt that way. And I do tend to think when we talk about our authentic selves, sometimes we can put labels on ourselves that are actually not very helpful in the end. They're not bad labels, nothing bad with being bookish and introverted, but actually it wasn't the full picture.
So many different sides to that flower.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's really important. So for those wanting to kind of start out and sort of start over and say, you know what, I don't really know who I am. For whatever reason, I've got to this space where I'm feeling a little bit like I don't know where I fit in this world, in my family, all of that kind of thing. And this is a big question, and goodness gracious, I don't know how we're going to answer it. But where would that person go to start looking for their true, authentic self?
Go within.
Go within.
If we don't go within, then ultimately we go without. So often we spend so much of our lives running from ourselves. But looking in the mirror and seeing that, we've all got a few flaws and things, but, don't focus on those bits. Start looking within, loving who you are right now.
Yeah.
That's the truth, really.
Yeah. God made us wonderfully and fearfully, right?
Without question.
Without question.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you, Tanya, for joining me in the studio. People can follow you on social media, and I really love that. I get to find out the world of Tanya, and it's a fun old world. How do they do that if people do want to get in touch that way?
Well, I am all over social media. You can just Google my name, Tanya Unkovich, or go to my website, tanyaunkovich.com.
Thanks, Tanya.